everyone. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic day today. Or tonight, I guess I should say. And I know I said that we were done making videos for today, but I decided to make up for the fact that the videos that came out today were mostly late ones. That I give you a little bit of a bonus episode. Not for Disneyvember, this is a separate thing. Now, for those of you that don't remember, a while back, we reviewed this guy. We reviewed the 5-inch JAKKS Pacific Sonic Movie 3 Movie Sonic. And I really like this figure. I think he's probably the best Sonic figure we've gotten so far this year. And initially I was going to get someone else, as I already told you guys in my haul video, where I only got the Shadow plush. But recently I was at a different Walmart with my aunt and my cousin doing some Halloween stuff, and I went to look down the toy aisle while they were doing their thing. So I finally managed to find the last of the Shadow merch that I need to get. Well, aside from the JAKKS Pacific plush that's going to be at Target, but outside of that, I did get the main three finally. So, let me introduce you to 5-inch movie Shadow. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have this guy. Not only because Shadow merch, it sells out so quick and it's so hard to get most of the time, but also because this guy was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to try to find in terms of retail releases. This guy has sold out pretty much everywhere, and even though online sites say he's available, he's really not. So my other option would have been going to eBay, and the eBay listings for this guy are just obnoxious. Like, they expect me to pay $60+ for him, which I was not gonna do. So I just kept trying and trying, but thankfully, this past weekend, I was able to find him, and I cannot say how happy I am to finally have this figure in hand, just in time for hopefully the second movie trailer, which should be coming soon according to leaks. So, let's talk about it. As you can see, he's in the exact same packaging as the movie 2 Sonic, with the movie 3 Sonic, with the exception of the bottom saying Shadow instead of Sonic. You got the JAKKS logo there. These are all reused renders from Sonic 2. And then if we go to the back here, if I can try not to drop it, because I'm trying out a new format today. There's a little bio right here if my camera wants to focus. It does not, I'll just read it. Shadow is a fierce and mysterious foe who is determined to accomplish his goals and won't let anything stand in his way. 22 points of articulation. You got a image of the figure back there, and then you have the other three in the set, which are Sonic, Tails, and Robotnik. I'm not sure if I'm going to get this Tails or the Wave 2 Chowhead Tails. So, I'm not sure about that one yet. I also know that there is a 5-inch Knuckles now. He was released in Wave 2, so I don't have to get that super expensive 4-pack anymore. As for Robotnik, for spoiler reasons, I'm going to wait and see if in Wave 3 we get another one. I'm not going to say why, but if you've seen the actual movie 3 trailer, you would understand why. So, yep. But that's not the only review you're getting in this video either. Because it took me so long to get all this Shadow merchandise, I also have this guy. I also have the 2.5-inch movie Shadow. This is one I couldn't find in stores. This guy I had to get online. And I overpaid a little for him. He was around like $20. And you're like, wait, $20 for a $5 figure? Are you out of your mind? No, I'm just a huge Shadow fan, and I wanted to get all the movie Shadow merchandise I could before they ended up all selling out. But unfortunately, this guy sold out really quick, so I ended up having to buy him online. But I found him in store, and thankfully I found him in store, so I did get the majority of it. So you're going to be getting in this review my review of the 2.5-inch movie Shadow, as well as the 5-inch movie Shadow. So you're getting a double Shadow for this video review. So without further ado or delay, let's dive into these figures, starting with the 2.5-inch figure. Alright, so real quick, before we get into the actual 2.5-inch movie Shadow, I do want to go over his packaging real quick, because this is the only 2.5-inch Sonic Movie 3 figure that I'm going to be getting. With the exception of Movie Supersonic, and if leaks are to be believed, Movie Super Shadow. So there will be more of these, but I'm not getting like the re-releases of Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Eggman, because they're all pretty much the exact same as the Movie 2 figures, with just a few little enhancements. But outside of that, they're pretty much the exact same figures, which is why I'm just going to keep my Movie 2 ones for the 2.5-inch line, and get only the 5-inch figures for the Movie 3 line, because I didn't get the 4-inch figures of this aside from Sonic. So let's go ahead and go over his packaging real quick. We have Shadow's Eye there in the corner, the Sonic 3 logo there, 3+. This is where the blister bubble would be, but I kind of tore mine off when I was opening it. I got this guy a while ago. We got the JAKKS logo there, a whole bunch of legal stuff on the bottom. And then on the back, of course, you have the description of the character, another logo there, a little photo of the figure within there, and then the other three you can get in this wave, which are Knuckles, Sonic, and Robotnik. Now, I know technically these two are improvements over the original 2.5-inch figures from the Movie 2 line, but because I already have these Movie 2 figures, I actually feel kind of content at just sticking with what I have. Even though Movie 2 Sonic does have that divot in his chest. But I'm willing to live with that if it means saving money. So, I'm willing to live with that. Because besides that and a few other little improvements, they're the exact same. So, yep. Alright, that's enough about packaging. I pretty much just kept this just for this section of the review for whenever I filmed it. So let's get into Movie Shadow himself, the 2.5-inch figure. And man, does this guy look absolutely just phenomenal. They pretty much nailed Movie Shadow's look in every single way, shape, and form possible. You have the separated eyes, you have the red around the brow ridge. If my camera wants to focus, you have the red irises, you have a grizzled look on his face, you have the chest fur, which is all sculpted in, you have that sculpted in fur texture from the Movie 2 figures. Of course, you have a little bit of texturing on the gloves, you have his inhibitor rings around his gauntlets, you also have the stripes on his arms, which is great. You also have stripes on his legs. Come on, focus. Camera. Focus. Okay. Yep, you have the stripes on his legs too, as well as the rings down there. And they did such a good job with the shoes. They are, like, perfect. So, sculpt-wise, he is pretty much perfect. He is exactly the way that you want him to be. Now, for articulation, it's pretty much the exact same as any 2.5-inch figure of the basic figures. So, I'm going to try to do this off camera because I'm kind of doing this standing up. So, please forgive me if this articulation segment's a little long. So, his head can go that way. And it can go that way, but be forewarned that the bottom spike will get in the way. So you can turn it 360, but it's not advised. And then if I can maybe try to scoot this up a bit. Sorry about that. Let's see if I can do it like, there we go, we can do it like this. So then his arm can go up, it can go down. And it can it go? Yes, it can go out. I see the joint. There it is. And then it can go out like that. And you can spin it around on that if you really want to. I think I got his arm stuck. I'm sorry, Shadow. Please do not chaos control me to death. Alright, there we go. And then his legs, he can kick out about that far, going just straight forward, which is more than enough to get, like, running poses, or, in Shadow's case, gliding poses, because, you know, he has air shoes and he more skates than runs, but he also can take his foot back pretty far like that. Then he can also swing his leg outward. He can do full splits if you really want to, and I don't think he has any articulation in his ankles, so there's not a lot of articulation, but that should be expected by now from these 2.5-inch figures. They're not really known for articulation, they're more for scaling. So, Now, one thing I will point out about this shadow is that he is very easy to stand. Like, for example, if I get out, let me get out the game shadow, the classic original shadow, right here. Most of the time, he is really hard to stand, but if you get him in just the right pose, he'll balance well enough. But with these movie figures, they definitely tried to make them a little bit more proportionate, and I really do appreciate that. It does make it a lot easier to try to balance them all. So, yep, there is Movie Shadow, and he looks pretty freaking cool. So, let's go ahead and jump into comparison time next, so you can see him next to all four of his other movie counterparts, as well as a couple other figures, for scaling reasons. Get out the normal game release Shadow. As you can see, there are more than a fair few differences between these two design-wise, but they look pretty good together. And then we'll also get out the other Shadow that I currently own out of the 2.5-inch line, and I think it's the only other 2.5-inch Shadow that's available right now, and that is Super Shadow, who you may remember from my Supersonic Super Shadow Double review. So that's how all three of the Shadows look together. I think they look great together, especially these two. I love the contrast between the game design and the movie designs of all these characters. It's very, very cool. As things fall over. That was weird. I'll fix that later. Sorry about that. Please ignore that crash. I don't even know what that was. Okay, so now let's get out the other movie counterpart figures so you can see how they all scale together. We'll start with Knuckles. They scale like this. He definitely got shrunk because he's not as... Well, actually, he's somewhat taller than Shadow, but also not because of his spikes, but that's how he scales with Knuckles. Tails, his favorite punching bag for whatever reason. He is shorter, which is how it should be, so that scales well. And then, of course, we gotta scale him next to Sonic. So let me just go like this. Get this Sonic to try to stand. There we go. That's as good as it's gonna get. And then that's how these two look together. Let me zoom in the camera, give you guys a better look. So that's how he scales with Movie Sonic. And Movie 3 Sonic is the same scale. I'm just using the Movie 2 one because that's the one I have. So, and if you want to know how all four of them look together, they're going to look something like... Gonna look something like that. And honestly, I think they all look really good together. Yes, I know obviously the Movie 3 versions of these three probably look better than the Movie 2 ones, but the Movie 2 ones are still pretty much the exact same scaling you're going to get. You're just getting the Movie 3 ones if A, you don't have these ones, or B, if you want a little upgrade. Me personally, I'm okay with just sticking with the Movie 2 ones, and I think they are more than satisfactory. Me personally. But, I mean, if you want me to review the other ones and I have the money and I find them out in the wild, I'll consider getting them, just for review purposes. But, yeah. And then you can do, like, a bunch of different poses and battle poses and all that kinds of crazy stuff. So, they all look really good together. And then, of course, if you really want to do scaling with the 5-inch figure, he's barely up to the bottom of Sonic's chest, as you can see there. Let me lift the camera up just a little bit so you can see a little better. Yeah, so it scales like that with Movie Sonic. Obviously not the right scale, but that's just to give you a visual depiction of how big these 5-inch figures are, because they are big, big figures. So, now we got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to my final verdict for Movie Shadow, and I'm going to get him in a cool pose of some sort, so be right back. So, my overall final thoughts on the Movie 3 2.5-inch Shadow from JAKKS Pacific. This is a fantastic figure. Like, yes, he is in the 2.5-inch scale, so you're not going to get a whole lot of articulation out of him, but that's what these are for. So, because of that, like, he does a great job at what he needs to do. He fits the 2.5-inch scale. He's going to scale beautifully next to the rest of your figures. And if you really want to go for this scale rather than the 5-inch scale, because the 5-inch scale is more expensive, while these are only $5 a piece, definitely go for this. I definitely think that this is one figure all Shadows fans needs to have. Even if you're someone that doesn't collect the 2.5-inch figures, Shadow merch sells out quick. So if you want this guy, you gotta find him immediately. If you ever find him out in the wild and don't have to pay exuberant prices on eBay, he is a definite must pick up. And for $5, it is a very impressive work of art by JAKKS once again. Once again proving that they are absolutely amazing with the Sonic the Hedgehog license. So because of that, I'm going to give Movie Shadow here a full final verdict of a 9 out of 10. It is still 2.5 inch, so you're not going to get a lot of articulation, but you can still get him in a lot of good poses, and he looks fantastic next to his other movie counterparts. Alright, got done our little special bonus. Now let's move on to our feature presentation, which is the 5-inch Movie Shadow. Very long-awaited review, to say the least. But we already went over his packaging and everything, so we're just going to get right into it. So let's use a little chaos control. Ready? It took 4 years and 2 successful movies and 1 great TV show, but the Sonic movie universe has finally added the ultimate Lifeform to their film franchise. For the 3rd movie, it is now Shadow the Hedgehog in the spotlight. Not Sonic, not Tails, not Knuckles, Shadow. And being someone who is a big fan of this guy, he's literally my favorite Sonic character ever, they did exactly what I asked them to do when I first reviewed one of the other movies way back when. And that was to save Shadow for the 3rd film, just to make absolutely sure that they knew what they were doing. Well, they knew what they were doing, and I was so happy in that post-credits scene in movie 2 when they teased Shadow. Yes, it's not the full finished design that you have right in front of you as a toy now, but more so, it was a recolor of Super Sonic that they did in post-production. But now, he is here, his design is fully unique from Sonic's in pretty much every single way, and he has finally graced Animation Station. And let me just say that this might be my all-time favorite Shadow figure, like, ever. JAKKS knocked it out of the freaking park with this figure once again, and I am so excited to talk about him. But before we begin glowing about this guy, there are some grievances I do need to point out. And that is that when I was getting him out of the package, his left arm popped off. And that was because of the twist ties and how deep they had him in the blister bubble. To the point where, if I put it here on camera, I literally had to cut it open to get him out. Like, that was annoying. And it wasn't that I couldn't... I did it that way because I couldn't get that twist tie off. It was literally right in the middle of his hand, and I would have been digging right into the plastic. So... yeah, that part was definitely a little bit annoying, but the good news is that even if his arm does pop off when you're taking him out of the package, don't fear, because the arm pops right back in its socket pretty easily. Okay, let's talk about this guy. First of all, he is hefty. Like, this is a big figure. Like, I think it's even bigger than... is it bigger than a Funko Pop? Yeah, it's even bigger than a Funko Pop. Look at this. Like, he is a tall figure. He is tall, he is big, and he is menacing as hell. And considering he's voiced by Keanu Reeves in this movie, I think that makes a lot of sense. Also, him being voiced by Keanu, that was just perfect. And whoever made that decision deserves a raise. So, let's talk about this guy. Let's start with his head and move our way down, if the camera wants to focus. So as you can see, he's got all the correct lining and spikes that he should, but he does have one extra spike because that is a movie exclusive addition to all these characters. They have one extra spike, specifically him and Sonic. And then, of course, he has that cool eye effect that was previously on the movie Sonic, which, yes, we will do a comparison of, don't worry. And, of course, this time he's got red irises instead of blue. Not instead of blue, instead of green, excuse me. Then he has the dark colored muzzle as he should. He's got a grimace look on his face. He has a sculpted chest fur. He's got sculpted fur all over the figure, and it just feels quality, despite the fact that this is $15. Like, it's crazy. Then, of course, you have his inhibitor rings around his gauntlets. The gauntlets have the right lines. You do have lines on the arms, but they are closer towards the back, more so on the side. And of course, you have his shoes, and I love what they did with his shoes. Like, they fully sculpted it. They didn't cut any corners. They fully sculpted his shoes the way they should, even managed to get peg holes down there. Like, the shoes are amazing. They are 100% accurate to their movie design, and just like with movie Sonic, they do have a texture. So when you're running your hand over it while you're posing him, you're going to feel a texture on pretty much everything on this guy, which is amazing. And he just looks incredible, dude. Like, this is Shadow. Like, it is different than his movie design, than his usual game design, but it's still recognizable as the character. This is something that a lot of video game remakes keep getting wrong, but these Sonic movies, after they had their little discrepancies with the Manhog, they finally got it right, and they gave us a great Sonic design thanks to Tyson Hesse. And since then, they've pretty much known exactly what they were doing and have given us great designs since then. Like, Tails is adorable as he should be. Knuckles is big and bulky. Even though people hated Boom for that, but whatever. The Sonic fan base is very double-sided most of the time. And of course, Shadow, like, he literally looks like his in-game counterpart with the exception of the separated eyes, the texture, and of course the one extra spike on his back. So, but like, this is as perfect of a Shadow figure as you can possibly get from JAKKS, and I'm so happy with him. He was a pain to get out of the box, but he was extremely worth it. Okay, I think I've said enough about this design and his overall aesthetic. Let's move on to his articulation. Hi, hello, it's me again. Yes, it is me, future Jackson, actually doing this part over because I wasn't happy with how it turned out in the actual video. So the rest of this video is going to be the original recording as per usual, but I wanted to redo this articulation segment because I felt like it would be a little easier to do it this way rather than trying to do it all the way up there, so... We are currently on my floor, and yes, I apologize, but I do have to use my foot for this, so please excuse me for that. So let's get the gun out of his hand. There we go. Okay, so let's dive into his actual articulation. Take number 2. Let's start with his head. His head's on a ball joint, so it can look down pretty far. It can also look up pretty far. You can move it left and right pretty easily, and it looks really good. So there's that. Moving on to his arm, it goes about that far. It goes that far. It can go up, but just be aware you do have to tilt the head a little bit so the bomb spike isn't in the way while you're doing this. It can go up about that far, and it goes down about that far. And then he also has a bit of a butterfly joint, so you can bring his arm over like this, or you can bring it back like that. There it goes. Took a while for it to click. I also forgot to mention the previous part about how there is some articulation in his midsection, but it's not really a crunch because you can't really bring it up and forward. It's more just for side-to-side movement. So there is that. Then moving on to his legs, they can kick out about... It's a little hard. You gotta force it a little. Okay, this part I do have to do off camera because these legs are very touchy. Maybe. Come on, Shadow. Okay. That's as far forward as his leg is gonna go with how it is just regularly. You'll get to go forward more if you spin around or maybe change its position a bit, but he can do that, and he can also, if he can stop falling, that'd be great. It also doesn't go back super far either, but it goes far back enough for running / gliding poses, or skating, whatever you prefer. And then we bring that back forward. He does have a little leg swivel right there. He has a double jointed knee, which looks fantastic because it's the same color as the rest of his sculpt, so it doesn't look all that weird. And then, of course, you do have that thigh swivel. That's the word I was looking for. It's a thigh swivel. Apologies for me for getting terminology. And then you do have his feet, which can... I'm going to do this part off camera because he's being so disproportionate right now. So his foot can go that far that way. It can go pretty far. Yep. And then it can go that far that way. And then it can also go back like this if you're getting him into like a flying pose or something like that. And then it can also go forward a little like that. So he's pretty much has a full ankle rocker, which is fantastic. And even though his head is definitely chunkier than Sonic's, he can still manage to stand pretty good once you get him in the right position. Something like that. I apologize for the loud sirens outside of my door, but yeah, his articulation's fantastic. There's 22 points. His legs are a little bit loose on mine, but that's probably because he was so tightly wrapped in his bubble that they might have loosened his legs a little, but that's okay. I can deal with it. But yeah, that is Shadow's articulation. It's pretty amazing, to say the very least, though it is very similar to Sonic's. Oh, I almost forgot. He does also have the open and closing hands. I almost forgot. So you can open his hand about that far if you want to get him like a goofy little fighting pose, or if you're like me, you use it so he can do Vegeta's Gallic Gun, or you can have it fully closed into a fist, or you can have it like sort of halfway, like this, like if you have him on a motorcycle or something like that. Or in my case, though, I'll have him holding a gun like that. It's not going to be a perfect fit because this wasn't made for this figure. This is Master Chief's gun from my Halo review a while back. But yeah, and then you can get cool stuff like this, or the pose I had him in before we even started, which is how I have him on the shelf. So yep, this is the articulation segment all done. Now back to past me for the rest of the presentation. First up, we of course got pair him up with Movie Sonic and see how those two scale together. And they're going to look something like that. Please excuse Movie Sonic's arm. I do need to fix it. I had him in like a fighting pose earlier. But that's pretty much how they scale together. They look really good together. They're about the same height, even though Shadow's top spike makes him a little bit taller than Sonic. But not by much. They're pretty much about the same size. Shadow just has a much more pronounced spike than Sonic. That's why he looks taller, even though they are about the same height. So, yep, that's how he scales with that Sonic. Since we already reviewed him earlier, I'll bring back out the 2.5-inch Movie Shadow so you can get a little bit of a comparison. Unfortunately, I do not have a 4-inch game Shadow on me right now, nor do I have him in the collection yet. I still need to find him, but that's how he scales with his 2.5-inch counterpart. As you can see, it is a pretty big difference. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, just for funsies, we're going to scale him with the rest. Here's Knuckles. Here's Tails. Here's Super Shadow. And here is Movie Sonic. Well, Movie 2 Sonic. But we can just call him Movie Sonic, because I'm not getting the Movie 3 one unless you guys absolutely want me to. So, yep. So he scales pretty well with most things, and of course he is going to be in scale with your 5-inch figures from the rest of this line. But I guess we can do one extra little fun one. If I can go and grab him real quick. Well, her, I guess I should say. because, of course, this being Shadow, we gotta scale him with Rouge. So here's my 4-inch Rouge figure as my heart bomb tries to run away again for the 5,000th freaking time. But here is how he scales with Rouge. If I set her up like that. That's how he scales with the 4-inch game Rouge. They still look pretty good together, honestly. Yes, obviously, Rouge is not this small, but she just looks small because Shadow is such a big figure. But that's how those two scale together, and if you have Omega, then you can somewhat complete a Team Dark, even though you do need a game Shadow. So, okay, that's enough for comparison. Now let me get him into a cool pose, holding a gun, because, you know, it's Shadow. We have to have him holding a gun. And then we will get to final verdict. Alright, so, my overall final thoughts on this figure. This is probably my favorite action figure of the entire year. Like, this is someone that we needed. This is someone that I was hoping the movie universe would include eventually. And now with movie 3, with this being the year of Shadow, it's only fitting that we got a Shadow figure for his movie counterpart. And he is absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic articulation, gorgeous sculpt, amazing posability. Like, this guy's pretty much perfect. I have no complaints with him. Like, my only complaint was just getting him out of his bubble. But I don't think that's really a fair knock against the figure itself, because that's more just the terrible packaging people that did that. So, yeah, this figure is amazing, dude. And obviously he looks best with a gun. I mean, it is Shadow we're talking about here. And if you are a 2000s Sonic the Hedgehog fan like me, you know that Shadow has a thing for guns. Or at least he used to, until Sega's trying to freaking neuter him. But us fans still pose him with guns all the time. And as you can see right here, even though he is holding one of Master Chief's M41 rifles, he still looks amazing with it. And you can really do a lot with this. Like, if you have a bunch of other guns from like your DC figures or some of your Marvel figures, they will fit his hands pretty easily. You're just going to have to do a little bit of finagling, because his hands are still pretty big. But the articulated hands definitely help a lot with gun poses, and honestly, I just think this guy looks amazing. Like, gun or no gun, this is an amazing figure. Definitely check this guy out. And my final verdict for him is an easy 11 out of 10. I have no complaints with this guy whatsoever. He looks amazing, and he's going to stand out on my shelf as one of my all-time favorite figures. So, yeah. Okay, I think I've said everything that I can. So, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And stay tuned, because you still have Disneyvember coming up. I might try to get the rest of these 5-inch figures. I'm not sure yet. Maybe I'll have to wait for next year. But, yeah, this was a really fun review to do. And I've had a lot of fun making it. And this Shadow figure is just, he's so much fun. He's fun to pose, man. Like, JAKKS has just been knocking it out of the park with Sonic, and they're only getting better with every single release. Like, have him in a hands up pose, and Shadow just getting ready to shoot. This is too funny. So, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and leave it on this shot here, because this it ain't getting better than this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this almost every single day. And get hyped, guys. We are only a month away from Sonic Movie 3 finally coming out in theaters. And I couldn't be more excited. And I'm so excited to review it for you guys as my final movie review of 2024. So, let me know your thoughts and opinions on today's review in the comments down below. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy my content. And if not, I only hope that I made your time worth spending. If not, I apologize. And stay supersonic. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. Anything left to say, Shadow? Give me that damn 4th Chaos Emerald. Shadow, freezing. Too bad. Goodbye. He really is Edgy the Hedgy, isn't he? Okay, I'm done messing around now. See you in the next review. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this camera off now before he ends up shooting Sonic in the face. See ya!
and I will soon forget. So listen and you won't regret. Be true to yourself, don't miss your chance, and you won't end up like the fool who ripped his pants.